For today's movie, we actually have to go back first and look at an earlier film that came out in 2016 called The Accountant. This is the movie that was directed by Gavin O'Connor, who made the 2004 movie Miracle. It was written by Bill Dubuque, who was the writer of the amazing Netflix series Ozark. This movie starred Ben Affleck, Jon Bernthal, Anna Kendrick, J.K. Simmons, Jeffrey Tambor, John Lithgow, Gene Smart, and Cynthia Addai-Robinson. An incredible all-around cast. I remember back in 2016 when this movie came out, I wasn't expecting much. It had a cool trailer, it seemed kind of mysterious, but it was a big surprise. It was a fun action movie, but what was really great about it was it had a fun mystery that unfolded slowly and was very, very entertaining. I remember at the time I gave that one an 8 out of 10, and I was really hopeful that there would be more installments to this story. Fast forward, 9 years later, someone out there heard my hopes and wishes, and now we have The Accountant 2. This movie could have very easily have been a disappointment, and it's one of those where you enjoyed the original so much that you think, please don't mess this up. Well, let me tell you this. This movie also is very entertaining. It was so well done. It's at least an 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed this one. At first, I thought it might not live up to the original because I'm going to tell you in a moment that there are some things from the first one that were missing here, and I thought that would be a problem. But you know what? This movie just worked. I'm going to start with the pros. It has amazing tone. The pacing is fantastic. It's still a smart story, and it's just very entertaining in how it does its world building. The movie opens with an amazing start. You have this really intense action sequence. J.K. Simmons is back as Ray King, setting a tense tone right away with the story. And then we're introduced to a very interesting new character named Lena, played by Daniela Melchior. She's the new assassin in this world, and we don't really know a lot about her yet, but very quickly we're going to learn she's incredibly intense and a bit of a badass, and Daniela Melchior does an amazing job playing this character in this movie. Another great part is this movie does carry over some of the humor from the original movie, so Ben Affleck, how he's introduced in this movie is there's a dating scene. When I say dating scene, he goes to this event and there's a speed dating thing. It could have been really stupid and cheesy, but actually it was really well done and really funny. Jon Bernthal from the first movie is no longer just the supporting character of playing Braxton Wolff, Christian Wolff. That's the character of Ben Affleck playing his brother. He now actually is a main role in this movie. And in here also, there's definitely a lot of charm and humor from his character. It does get close to being borderline cartoonish and stupid, but Bernthal always brings a level of charm to his roles, and he balances it out really well in this movie. The humor is not overdone here. I think it's just right. And they definitely get that dynamic really well where siblings can care about each other, but also tease each other and get on each other's nerves. And just, yeah, Affleck and Bernthal, they do that really, really well in this movie. Cynthia Addai-Robinson returns as Mary Beth Medina, and she is the rock of the story and definitely helps give the story a feeling of stakes and the tension and reminds both Affleck and Bernthal that something very serious is going on in this story. One thing which was unfortunate to see as a change with this movie was that the character Justine, that's an associate of Christian Wolff and it's carried over from the first movie, that character was originally voiced by Allison Wright. Allison Wright is an actress that I remember from The Americans. She is fantastic, and I was just sad to see that for The Accountant 2, she was recast by Allison Robertson for this role of Justine. And I'm just assuming that there was probably a scheduling conflict, but Allison Robertson was great in this role too. I just wish that Allison Wright could have been back in this because she's great in everything that she's in. The one part which was an interesting choice in this film is the Gifted Children's Center. Christian Wolff, his character is autistic, neurodivergent, and he is a funder for this Gifted Children's Center. And in this story, these children have skills where they're very good with computers and tech. They're helping him to do a little bit of research, a little bit of hacking. I don't know how people are going to feel about this scene exactly. I can just say when you're watching it, it's a very well designed, very well executed scene. And I think it tries to paint everybody in a very positive light. I thought it was a creative choice, but I don't think maybe everybody will be on that same page. I'm a big fan of director Gavin O'Connor. He did the original The Accountant. The writing in this is also really strong. You have screenwriter Bill Dubuque, and I'm telling you, if you've not seen Ozark, please check out that series. It is fantastic. Jason Bateman and Laura Linney might be the perfect combo casting ever. The action of this movie lives up and, in fact, I think surpasses the original movie. The sequences are very fast, very well designed, really brutal. And you have actually the characters of Braxton with Jon Bernthal and Lena, played by Daniela Melchior. These two get more screen time, and Ben Affleck with Christian Wolff takes a little bit of a step back, but he has some action sequences as well. I just think that this movie does a really great job with balancing and bringing everyone into the story. Everyone gets some screen time, and the action is shared by all in this movie. Another change that happened, and I thought I was not going to like this very much, is that the original composer, Mark Isham, from the first movie, did not return for the second one. For this movie, Bryce Dessner stepped in. Mark Isham's score from the original The Accountant has this eerie, intriguing feel to it, and it just sucked you into the story. And I thought, okay, can someone brand new still do that? I don't know. Why can't we bring back the same guy who was so good that last time? But I tell you what, Bryce Dessner does a great job here too. He creates some fun beats for the action, for the drama, and the music is wonderful in this movie as well. And then there was a change that I really appreciated. This was definitely a big positive for the movie. You had a change of the studio that oversaw the film. The first one in 2016 was done by Warner Brothers. This second one was done by Amazon MGM. And that was only possible because of the company Artist Equity that produced this movie. That is Ben Affleck and Matt Damon's recent production company. And their involvement allowed the rights to be negotiated and to be able to get the rights from Warner Brothers and then hand that over to Amazon MGM. It took this franchise out of development limbo and was a big win so that Gavin O'Connor, Ben Affleck, that they could have a lot of creative control over this movie as well. And now let's get into the cons. I mentioned the loss of the original voice actor of Allison Wright, but it still worked out with Allison Robinson. I mentioned the cartoonish risk with Braxton, so the character played by Jon Bernthal, he sometimes feels like overdoes the comedy, but actually, he's always charming in his roles, so I would say that actually he balanced it out, and it didn't get into the Jar Jar Binks territory of being weird and absurd and annoying. It was actually really great overall, and his kind of brotherly banter with Affleck works really well. The other concern that I had was, again, no Mark Isham, the composer, but Bryce Dessner came in and that worked out as well. So that really wasn't a major issue. I only had two issues that stuck with this movie. One was not so important, and then one, with me, this is very important. The one not so important one was take a look at the posters and the marketing and advertising for this movie. Now, the trailers were great, but anything that was the graphics, the posters for it, felt like they didn't have any idea of how to put a poster together for this movie, and they just put pictures of the actors and then, the accountant too, just in big whatever. So that part I thought, come on, you can do like with the first one where it was kind of mysterious, because this second one was still mysterious too, and there were things that had to unfold in the second one, and I feel like they could have tied that into the marketing and advertising as well. But the big issue that I had with this one is that you have villain characters that are not very memorable. You're definitely going to remember these characters of Christian Wolff, of Braxton, and Daniela for sure. But the villains, the day after, by tomorrow, watching the movie, you're going to forget it. When you have paper-thin villain characters, yeah, that's a problem. Your story is only as strong as your villain. I'm going to always say that. That was a big sticking point for me with this movie. But overall, I'm happy that The Accountant 2 is one of those rare movies where it's better in every way from its original. Again, Ben Affleck is back as Christian Wolff, Jon Bernthal leaning more into the action, Daniela Melchior just steals every scene that she is in. This movie expands its world of characters, has that wonderful pacing that we were talking about, strong action, and some great character development. And it's really wonderful to see director Gavin O'Connor and writer Bill Dubuque still firing on all cylinders, creating this really entertaining world. So to circle back to my score for this movie, I give The Accountant 2 a very enthusiastic 8.5 out of 10. I know that Gavin O'Connor and Bill Dubuque and Ben Affleck are ready to do a third movie. They have designed this as a trilogy. The box office for The Accountant 2, unfortunately, was lukewarm. The budget for the movie was about $80 million. Its box office performance was about $103 million. The part that still gives me hope, though, is that when The Accountant 2 started on streaming for Amazon Prime Video, ever since it started on there, it has been a really big success for the streaming platform. So I do think we're going to see the third movie be greenlit by Amazon MGM Studios. One other discussion point that I don't want to forget is the portrayal of autism in this movie. There has been some feedback that The Accountant 2 didn't explore Christian Wolff's autism and how that impacts him and his world as much as in the first film, and that this sequel leaned more into the action and plot. What I would encourage you to do is to ask about that and see how people felt about it. I want them to be able to speak for themselves. It wasn't a problem for me with this movie. I think the first film did a really great job setting up that world and the understanding of who Christian Wolff is. And I do feel like in this film, they kept that vibe in place, but they didn't have to really repeat it again. That was really well established in the first film. The other thing that I'm hoping for, I don't know how they'll do it. I don't know if it can make sense from a story point of view, but in the first The Accountant movie, Anna Kendrick was a character in that movie. She played the character of Dana Cummings. She was really both funny as well as a good grounded and dramatic character too. There is interest for her to return to this story, and Gavin O'Connor, the director, was talking about it and saying that Kendrick is very interested to return. So I think and I hope they're going to make that happen where she will be part of the next story, the next film. The Accountant 2 is available to stream now, and one little annoying thing I just want to mention here is I really, really hate that movies that are made by these companies that are streamers, they keep their movies within their platform. I get it. That's your business. But why? Why not an additional revenue stream? Just make it possible that if I'm on any other platform that lets you buy or rent movies, let me buy or rent it from there too. Don't make it that I only can be a subscriber to a streaming platform, and that will be the only way I have access to the movie. You are walling off your movie, your show to that platform. I get it. You want to drive people in, you want to have more subscribers, but you're still making money. It's just really stupid, and I really hate it. And on that positive note, The Accountant 2 is a wonderful movie. I hope you check it out. Let me know what you think. And as always, thank you for listening.